Joe Campizone of CampizonMMA.com. I'm here joined with The Ultimate Fighter 12, Contestant, and Jermaine. What's going on, Andy?
What's going on, man? Just hanging out, just got done training. Good workout at AMA. So what's up?
Not much. So first and foremost, man, what was the experience like for you on The Ultimate Fighter?
It was actually a very interesting experience for me. It was something I really didn't expect what it was going to be like. You know, I've heard from, you know, former cast members what it's like, you know, how difficult it is living in the house, you know, what it's like training with guys like that, and, you know, just the whole environment. So you kind of get a feel for it, but you really can't know what it's like until you're in there, you know. Even now, it's just like I'm still amazed at like how difficult it really was, you know. You know, living in a house with 14 guys. I mean, we live in this mansion, and we have like all the you know, anything we want, food, whatever, great training. But the house gets so small so fast because of the lack of contact, this and that, and there's not much to do, you know. So it plays, you know, it plays with your head, you know. It really can make or break you as a fighter, you know. It can make you decide if it's really what you want to do, or if this lifestyle is really not for you.
We saw you win very impressively to get your first fight, to get into the house. But your second fight, you got Kyle Watson. What do you think went wrong for you in the fight?
You know, I think the thing with the fight with Kyle Watson, what happened is it was almost like things happened for me in the beginning of the rounds. You know, that kind of got me off of my game plan. My game plan was to stick and move with the striking, and look for a takedown, and then play from on top. But what happened was we were striking a little bit. I was getting better at the striking. He clinched up with me, and I was able to spin to his back. And you know, I think I was surprised more than anything that I had gotten to his back, because he is a really high level jiu-jitsu guy, and I was surprised that I got there so easily. So it totally switched my game plan. I ended up jumping up to his back, thinking that, you know, now maybe I had the edge in jiu-jitsu, but more so than I thought. And rather than looking to either break off, continue to strike, or take him down and try to play from on top. And then what ended up happening is, you know, obviously he defended well, put me on my back, and was able to play his game instead. And that was basically the story of the rest of the fight. Even the second round, I was able to get a couple punches off, but same thing, like, I started hitting him, started feeling like I was rocking him, so I started chasing, which wasn't the game plan. He was able to duck underneath, shoot. And, you know, fights go that way sometimes. You know, obviously I was real disappointed with my performance. I think I could have done a lot better, but, you know, it is what it is, and I can only get better from it.
Do you think you should have been the wild card pick?
I think that there was a lot of speculation about that. In my opinion, Mark Stevens probably shouldn't have got it because of his, you know, performance in the cage. Not because Mark isn't a good fighter, but in the beginning of the show, Dana White gave us criteria. He said the criteria for the wild card slot is, you know, whoever puts on the better performances, you know, in the cage. He said it's not going to have anything to do with your pedigree. We don't care who you are before this. It's how you do in the cage, how you perform. So then he comes out to tell us who the wild card slot is. He picks Mark Stevens based on the fact that we think he's well-rounded, because he's got a decent record, he's got a pedigree, you know, he's got a wrestling background, and he was Costa's first pick. So he totally changed the criteria, and I think that was the thing that was, you know, that made a lot of people upset. It made me, you know, that I wasn't cool with that, and a lot of the guys in the house weren't cool with that. But I think there are other guys other than me that may have deserved it. Jeff Lentz had a really good fight. The only reason he was out of the running was because he was always smoking and drinking and not really taking practice seriously, so the coaches didn't really want to pick him. Dane Sayers everybody assumed he had a broken nose. His team and George St. Pierre, they all told us he had a broken nose, he was out of the running, but on the episodes they showed that he was in the running. So if he was in the running, he would have been a legitimate pick too. So, you know, I think there were other guys that deserved it, but I did think I was definitely in the running.
Yeah, how frustrating was hearing Mark as the pick, you know?
Yeah, it was extremely frustrating, you know, just basically because of what I said, because the criteria thing. You know, Dana gives one criteria, and, you know, a couple of us went in there and really tried. I mean, obviously my performance wasn't amazing, but, you know, obviously if you lost, the performance wasn't that great, you know? I mean, Dane Sayers did better than expected, but it still really wasn't a very good performance. Jeff actually did okay, but his his fight was pretty boring, and then he got caught. You know, so obviously the performances weren't great if you lost, but you know, it's criteria. You know, obviously you're picking out of the guys who lost. You know, like I said, my performance wasn't awesome, but I went in there, I fought, I had him in danger a couple times, and Kyle's a really legitimate dude. I mean, I went up against a guy who's got, you know, I think 4 times more fights than me, you know, and he's been in the game for almost 10 years. I've been in the game for like 2, 3. So, you know, I think those things need to be taken into consideration, and they weren't.
A couple episodes we saw you holding back Brad Tate. You want to shed some light on that situation for us?
Yeah, basically Brad Tate was just this medic that I guess George is friends with, and maybe he does his IV or something like that after he weighs in. We're not really sure, but anyway, he was on the show since the beginning of the season. We didn't see much of him on, you know, in the actual episodes, but he was there the whole time. And you know, he was kind of talking a lot, you know, saying a lot of things, talking to the fighters, talking to Josh, and just trying to get under people's skin. Kind of, yeah, I think because St. Pierre wouldn't, that this guy Brad Tate would. I don't know if he was. I don't think he was brought in to do that, but he definitely was since the beginning of the episode. So you know, I think it was all kind of fun and games until he started making fun of the Armenians, like right to their faces, making fun of them for losing, this and that. And Josh, you know, he was very protective of his team, almost like a family. So he ended up getting really upset about that, really pissed off. That's when they got into that little scuffle. Yeah, I just kind of grabbed Brad Tate. You know, I pushed him back because he was pushing forward to keep going, and obviously Josh was too. Somebody was holding Josh back, and you know, you couldn't hear me, but I was just saying, you know, just chill out, bro, chill out. You know, I had a nice tight body lock on him, and I was like, I'll put you on your ass if you keep moving. But you know, basically nothing came of that. Koscheck went and apologized, and that was the end of it.
Who was your closest buddy in the house?
My closest buddy, I mean, I was pretty tight with Jeff Lentz just because I knew him previously. I actually fought 2 of his training partners, and you know, I've seen him around on the East Coast, and you know, I also knew Mark Stevens a little bit from him fighting in the local circuits around here. I think I became pretty good friends with Kyle. Actually, Kyle was one of my better friends in the house. I actually after the show was over, I went out to the Hit Squad to train with him and the guys out at Matt Hughes' gym. So you know, it was real cool with him, but I got along with a lot of guys. I mean, I was cool with Nam Fan. Aaron Wilkinson is probably one of the funniest guys I've ever met, and I got along with him real well too. And I think I liked having conversations with Jonathan Brookins. If you haven't noticed from the episode, he's very deep. He's very like spiritual, and he's got a lot of philosophies that are very interesting. So he was cool. He's a cool guy too. But I think the first couple of guys, you know, probably Kyle is who I got, you know, ended up getting along with the most by the end of the show.
You fought in the beginning of your career at 145 pounds, and now that the UFC has merged with the WEC, do you think you could ever return to that weight?
I could if I wanted to. I'm not sure if I want to. You know, it's. I feel I'm young. I'm only 21 years old, and I feel like as time goes on, it's going to be harder and harder for me to lose that weight. You know, I've noticed. You know, just in the first year of my career, you know, from the first time I cut to 45 to the third and fourth time I cut to 45, the cut became more difficult. You know, I got better at cutting weight, but you know, the weight was more established. You know, I was getting bigger and stronger, and I'm just growing. You know. And I think that I'm going to continue to grow, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if 2 or 3 years from now I'm fighting at 170. You know, it's not out of the question. You know, as long as I can cut weight and feel healthy, I don't really care where I fight. You know, I'll fight 170, 155, and if I can make it down to 145 again and still feel like I can, you know, I'm strong and I have cardio, then you know, I'll do that too. But for now, I think I'm gonna, you know, keep my eyes on 155.
Do you have any gripes with how they edited the show so far?
No, not really. You know, I know it's kind of expected when you go into it. You know, they're gonna show the guys who make asses of themselves. You know, they're not gonna show the guys that don't talk much or don't get into fights. So we all knew that Alex Caceres or Bruce Leeroy was gonna get all the airtime. It's expected. You know, it's what you're there for. You know, it's about what you're there for. You know, some of the guys are there. I mean, obviously we're all fighters at this point, but you know, some of the guys are a little bit more apt to you know, dance for lack of a better term in front of the camera rather than, you know, just be there and be themselves and be there to fight. So you know, obviously I wish it'd be cool if I got more airtime and guys like Kyle Watson got more airtime and even Brookins and some of the other guys, got more airtime inside the house rather than, you know, Jeff just because he's drinking and smoking, and Savak and Alex just because they're, you know, they're talking a lot or whatever. So, you know, that's unfortunate, but that's just how TV is, and it's expected. It's not a surprise to anybody.
Speaking of Alex, was he as annoying as he's portrayed on the show?
Yeah, you know, the thing with Alex is he's actually not a bad dude. I hung out with him a little bit before the show aired when we went out for casting. You know, I hung out with him in Vegas, and he was a real cool kid, man, and it just seemed like, I mean, he was eccentric. He's definitely eccentric, and you know, I could see him getting on some people's nerves. You know, myself being mellow, and like guys like Brookins got along with him a little bit more than others, just because we can deal with a personality like that. But you know, obviously he butt heads with other guys who've got bigger personalities, like Stevens and Michael Johnson and Savak and stuff like that. But you know, it just seemed like as soon as we started filming, this persona that he had built he was trying to build for himself, this Bruce Leeroy persona, you know, came out a whole lot more, and that was very annoying more than anything. You know, I always say, I said Alex Caceres is a cool guy, but Bruce Leeroy is an idiot.
So you've been training, well, in addition to at AMA Fight Club, you've been training at Henzo's in New York City. What's it like training with John Danaher, you know, the opposing coaches from the show? And I heard GSP stopped by the other day.
Yeah, I train with John Danaher, and he is phenomenal. He's, in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of people, obviously, 2 world champions right now are training with him in GSP and Frankie Edgar. And you know, in a lot of people's opinion, that he's the best jiu-jitsu instructor in the world. The guy is an absolute genius. He you know, he breaks down jiu-jitsu and grappling and even judo and wrestling in a way that, you know, nobody I've ever met can or does, and it's really cool. And then you know, I trained with Danaher a little bit previously to the show, and you know, obviously I was one of the guys on my team that wasn't you know, wasn't getting involved in the antics with messing with the other team, and they recognized that. And St. Pierre even called John Danaher to tell him to thank me for not, you know, banging on the walls and being a part of all that kind of stuff, and invited me to come up and train with him. So you know, whenever George St. Pierre comes down to the city, we train together, and I'm heading up to Montreal to train with him a little bit before his fight with Koscheck. So you know, I'm glad that I got involved with this team, because you know, there's a lot of really good guys. I mean, obviously, like I said, we got two world champions training, you know, out of that school and out of our school. We got, you know, real solid guys, and you know, I just feel like I made the right choice in getting involved with this team.
Andy Mayne, thank you for your time, man. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.